Yes, we are.
Thank you. So we're good to go whenever you're ready, Tiffany.
Okay. So I'd like to call this meeting of the May 21st, 2025 Community Planning and Economic Development meeting to order. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting, the date?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? of
Aye.
approving the minutes? Aye, okay. I'll move really quickly. We have kind of a lot of things to go over today. So I'm going to go through the town staff that's here really quickly. And then when we get into item B, I'll let our town manager introduce our members from Stantec, people from Stantec that are here. On the call, we have Lauren Siegel, Kristen Korski, Greg Summer, Todd DeMay, Dwayne Martin, and our town manager, Rick Ledwith. I think I got everybody. From the committee, we have Deputy Mayor Ben Winograd and committee member Alberto Cortez. We also have Mayor Sherry Cantor, and then we are joined by Jason and Travis from Stantec. So if we want to go into item B, which is the West Hartford Center Infrastructure Master Plan.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, everyone. Guess we can formally introduce Jason Schreiber and Travis Ewan from Stantec, but they, I think, need no introduction at this point, as they've been very much a part of our team now for a couple of years. But I believe Jason will be presenting the finalized West Hartford Center Infrastructure Master Plan. And this plan represents really a culmination of extensive planning that began probably more formally in 2022, but in many ways much earlier. And that took place through a series of, as we know, discussions, workshops, engagement sessions with community stakeholders, businesses, and residents. And ultimately, this plan will serve as a high-level strategic framework to guide future infrastructure improvements and investments in both the center and Blueback Square. Ultimately, will help us enhance mobility, accessibility, public spaces, really ensuring that both these areas continue to thrive well into the future. And importantly, this planning effort has already informed the reconstruction of LaSalle and Farmington, which began earlier this spring. So we look forward to sharing key elements of the plan with you and discussing how it will help shape the next phase of really thoughtful and community-driven development right here in the heart of West Hartford. So through you, Madam Chair, I will turn things over to Jason and Travis. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here. I'm going to share my screen and walk through just some highlights of the master plan that we've prepared for you. And of course, this is, as Rick suggested, a document that has evolved over the last couple of years. And hopefully it's still a draft. If there's opportunities that you want to weigh in on and provide some comment on, you're more than welcome to. I'm only going to focus on a few of the highlights here today and keep it relatively brief, but further detailed comment we welcome from you. The document is designed to sort of summarize that timeline, as Rick mentioned, since 2022 when we first got involved, through, of course, our actual analysis, processes, design, and especially community input. There's been a lot of things that have happened, and this graphic is simply trying to summarize all of that. Of course, the commencement of construction on LaSalle and Farmington being the most significant happening in 2025, but we know that in 2026, hopefully, Farmington itself will also go into construction, and there'll be more, hopefully guided by this plan, but most importantly, by the goals that it is founded on, that we continue to reiterate are important. The aging infrastructure definitely needs improvements. We want to make sure it's resilient and sustainable. We recognize the importance of economic development for the community, and that has to do with maintaining what works well and improving upon it. And then, of course, the surrounding neighborhoods are really essential and vital to what's happening in the community, but especially in the town center, and how to maintain those linkages and grow over time smartly. Transportation is vital. That's how this place works. That's how we want it to continue to work successfully. And we have many recommendations that improve the multimodal access as well as open space. And many folks in community meetings wanted to preserve and enhance and grow that over time while preserving a mix of land uses that make it really vital, and how we can expand upon that, and ultimately embracing what you have in terms of good cultural and historic resources. We even talk about in this document things like public. We are grounded by past work. There's been work around electric vehicle charging, bicycle facilities, complete streets, which are safer multimodal streets, as well as ways to improve wayfinding, overall safety for those traveling, and in particular, the plan of conservation and development is truly giving the guidance and the vision for the underlying goals of this plan, as well as, of course, others that have preceded and hopefully follow it. We have a section on existing conditions, and I won't get into all of the details of all the things that it did look at, but we tried to do a pretty thorough survey of what's happening in that study area, the town center and Blueback Square. In particular, we spent a lot of time on transportation, the multimodal aspects of the downtown. This is just a quick page that summarizes the map and focuses a little bit on bicycling. There's sections that talk about transit and walking, and of course, vehicular circulation. We also spent a lot of time focused on the public realm and the greenery or lack thereof, or aging of it. As you know, many of the trees had kind of gotten to a late stage in life. There's a lot of change on LaSalle right now. We anticipate that there will be more, and this plan really focuses heavily on best ways of maintaining a good tree canopy and the benefits that it provides, not just for walking, but even for outdoor dining, and to really make sure that we don't wind up with a monoculture going on. There was a lot of community input. As you know, we had 5 rounds of that to be able to sit down with folks, to have the community actively involved and weighing in. There was a few kind of outdoor pop-up, as well as coming to the town hall to have very focused conversations around materials that we've developed. And then, of course, lots of email input and other opportunities for folks. Online surveys. And the report summarizes a lot of that, which leads us into our recommendations. And I just want to spend the last few minutes here summarizing those recommendations. They do cross all aspects of the public realm, from lighting all the way down to mobility, recommendations around low impact development, things like outdoor dining. We touch on even public art. So there's a lot of elements that are mentioned here we think are important. And as Rick has said, as a guidance for future work, there are some opportunities. I'll hit again a few highlights for things such as improvement of gateways. This is a very typical public realm opportunity to announce better to people, hey, you're here. Even if they're just passing through, their mental map gets them to remember that that cool place they drove through was West Hartford, and that's something that you use to encourage economic development. It's also a great source of community cohesion and should be thought about at a few locations as you come into the center. We know that there's structure pieces that we're trying to improve as part of the current street work, but also for other streets in the future, such as finding a consistent form of lighting, and even things like power for the future when we have other evolving opportunities along the sidewalks that may be full of outdoor dining. We know that in many cases, just basics such as seating needs to be expanded and improved. We've highlighted a couple areas where obviously a lot of improvement is happening on LaSalle already, but eastern portions of Farmington and South Main along Unity Green really are places to be thinking more about where seating can go. And of course, there's general recommendations on how that would be designed on other locations throughout the study area. The sidewalks in particular are important. There was one of the more fundamental things that this whole project came to fix and to deal with, and coming up with an approach that is sustainable, maintainable, replicable. Not only are we compliant with accessibility guidelines, but we're producing things that are distinguishing without necessarily high cost or complexity of repair. And that also helped to support a good natural environment with smart things like tree wells. There is the opportunity to really make a better selection of trees throughout the center. There's an opportunity to build on some of the things you have, but really to try to introduce other native species in particular. Happy to answer and focus on any of these as you like. And some of the infrastructure that we want to see designed and included not only in just LaSalle and Farmington, but elsewhere as other streets are reconstructed, include soil cell systems and other things to really allow for a much higher and healthier canopy than you've even had today that will continue throughout the center. And that really, in the end, does help enhance things like outdoor dining, as well as walking and strolling in the natural environment. But there's guidelines in here for promulgating some clear guidance on outdoor dining, so we don't have to have good expectations for what each and every restaurant would have, and there's a level of consistency throughout the center and Blueback. There's still within the mobility realm, not just the opportunity to improve sidewalks and do some of the circulation changes that you're already familiar with, but to build on the bicycle plan that's been produced and think about how we can create good corridors that allow folks to get to and around the center without necessarily biking right in the heart of the pedestrian zone. And as complemented by that are places where people can arrive and park their bicycles. And there's a large facility intended along the east-west shared corridor on Arapahoe Memorial at the intersection of Arapahoe and LaSalle, and another one at the prime gateway of Farmington and Main Street. In particular, those two locations combined with others, but those two locations are where we think mobility hubs make sense. And so mobility hub elements, which are sort of multimodal locations for folks to be able to access a bike, maybe eventually a rental bike, have some seating, maybe find a ride share pickup, and of course park their bicycle if they've arrived that way, often tied into transit, is a good feature. Two of those already as part of the upcoming and ongoing construction work, both on Farmington at number 1 there on the map, and on again at Arapahoe at the lot on number 2. And then lastly, I just briefly, the end of this overall plan does talk through some of the conceptual improvements at a few locations. They're just concepts for what can happen. There's an overall plan here in the background here of just one set of possible solutions, but we walk through different ways of thinking about particular aspects of the center that haven't been designed yet. Obviously, South Main around Unity Green, we had presented 4 options. There was some support for almost all of these options, but we need to hear a broader set of decisions and further detailed design in the future. A lot of folks did like the idea of connecting Unity Green to businesses, and in these solutions for the actual intersection of Main and Farmington, you'll see that there's a solution in the lower right that does just that as well. But there's other ways of handling that intersection and how that can be designed with various benefits. And this is a good ongoing evaluation, things that can happen and should happen at some point in the future. And of course, the master plan ends on what you already know, which is the final designs for LaSalle Road and how that might look for the future. So it's a good resource if folks are ever questioning what's going to happen over the course of construction, as well, of course, for Farmington Avenue when that work begins next week, and an idea of how that might be able to look in the future. So that's the overall plan. It does end with an implementation strategy that sort of talks through each and every one of these elements and how they might be implemented over time, relative levels of planning costs, and the suggestion for how these might be built out and or conducted, and in some cases just monitored and programmed over the course of the next 3 to 5 to maybe 10 or more years, is really just our professional suggestion. It doesn't mean this is exactly how things will be implemented, but it provides some level of sequence and thought for town staff and for all of you as you begin to plan the infrastructure going forward in downtown. And we have concluded at the end with a quick suggestion on how many other places have actually continued to maintain a public realm, not only just like what's under design, but overall throughout the entire center, even where things haven't had major reconstruction. Different forms of organization can come together and do the less formal maintenance of this type of infrastructure over time. Since we all embrace it and it's a beautiful place, we want to be able to create a good environment. So hopefully that type of organizational structure, certainly with the guidance of folks like here on the phone, will be something that can keep the master plan. Love to have any comments or questions. I have the full detailed master plan if you wanted to refer to something I didn't run over as well.
Are there any questions from anyone?
No questions from me.
Okay.
No, I don't have any questions. I'm not sure whether it should come up now. I did want to talk a little bit about implementation, sort of what's going on right now, and just the construction aspect of it. In LaSalle Road, I'm not sure whether that's
Yeah, through you, Madam
Stantec
Chair.
or afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, to Deputy Mayor, that, I mean, certainly we can talk a little bit about that now if you'd like. We do have that as part of our community development update a little bit later in the meeting.
Okay. I mean,
Like specifically about what's been happening over the last few weeks
yeah,
type
really
of.
what, sort of state of LaSalle Road and.
Yeah, okay. Yep, we'll give an update during Dwayne's presentation.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I just want to say, I just through you, Madam Chair, just wanted to express my appreciation for all the hard work. Have not gotten my way entirely through the document, and will continue to do so, but it very impressive. Lots of options in there, which I appreciate. And yeah, it's exciting. So thank you for all that work and taking everybody's input.
So yes, thank you so much for the presentation. I've been going through it. It's a hefty document. There's a lot of information in it, but I really appreciate all the work you've done and look forward to moving forward with different aspects of this plan in the future. Rick, did you want to close out anything on this or?
So this, as we mentioned earlier, is a draft. So definitely spend some more time with it, and we can talk through where we go from here, in terms of what the committee would like to do from kind of finalizing this plan. Yeah, we absolutely thank Stantec for all of their work and partnership over the last several years. And there are aspects of this plan that we're well, a lot of aspects of the plan, not just some, that we're really excited about in terms of the future. We're working on LaSalle this year, Farmington next year. But there are some great thoughts and ideas and conceptual plans on how we integrate North Main, South Main, Unity Green and the intersection into what's happening with the infrastructure plan overall. We are working on another grant right now separate of this that will allow us to connect Trout Brook Road or Trout Brook Trail to the center as well, and incorporating that into what we're doing, larger plans. So and we are starting to we've had a couple of initial planning meetings with our town planner, Mr. DeMay. We'll continue to work with him as we kind of look past these next two summers as we get through LaSalle and Farmington. So, but we'll talk a little bit more about this plan as we move through the next few weeks in terms of finalizing it, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys so much again. So I guess we will move on to item C, which is an easement in favor of the MDC to support the Fern Street Bridge Rehabilitation Project.
Yeah, thank you. And so we do have these next two easements are fairly routine. We do have one for MDC to support the Fern Street Bridge project. So that is going to require us to replace the water main with MDC as part of that project. So, and then the Farmington and Prospect traffic signal easement is another fairly routine and standard easement as well. Working with the city of Hartford on that change. Both easements have been drafted by Corporation Council, and we would place these on the next council meeting on Tuesday, the 27th, for your formal approval. But happy to answer any specific questions that the committee may have. But as I said, they're fairly routine and standard. Through you, Madam Chair.
Does anyone have any questions on either of those? Okay. I don't have any questions on that either. So do you want to move on to, do we have any communications before we get to staff reports?
We do not, Madam Chair. Nothing on our communications today. And with that, we can turn things over to Dwayne Martin, our Director of Community Development, who will give an update on what's happening in community development, as well as we'll include an update on the LaSalle project as well. Thank you. Through you, I'll turn it over to Dwayne.
Thank you, Mr. Ledwith. Dwayne Martin, Director of Community Development. I'll be very quick. I just wanted to give an update on a few projects, and then with your concurrence, I wanted to hand it over to Greg Summer, our town engineer, to give a quick update on the center construction, as was mentioned just a minute ago. So there are 3 projects that I wanted to highlight, which some are in the report, some of you may have heard about, but may be curious as to what's going on. We're getting very close and clearing the final hurdles for these 3 major projects, major construction projects for us to get to a bid phase, which we're very happy about. It's been a bit of a struggle for various reasons, but the 3 projects are the New Park Avenue Complete Streets Improvements Project, the Fern Street Bridge Replacement Project, and the Trout Brook Culvert Replacement Project. The Trout Brook Culvert's located near the former Yukon campus properties. All of those are in their final design stages, being reviewed by state agencies and others to get to a bid state. So we're very happy about that. We're hoping to have them go into bid within the next couple months and get them into construction this construction season. So we just wanted to make you aware. Obviously, they're major construction projects, meaning they're on very busy streets, and the construction of these will be multi-year and impact traffic, vehicular and pedestrian traffic. So the roads will not be closed at all. We will have lane closures, we'll have sidewalk closures, but we'll work through those to get the construction done. Much more detail to come, but I didn't want you to be caught off guard. And also, we've had a lot of questions lately as to what's going on with these projects and why is it taking so long, particularly the Fern Street Bridge. But we're getting close. And then lastly, I just wanted to give a quick update on our Kane Kennedy Brook flood study. I mentioned this one before, so I won't go into great detail, but we have reached the next step where we've selected a consultant to move the study forward. The study will take about 18 months, and it's a very large area that we're looking at, which is flood prone, and it spreads into the city of Hartford. So it's a nice project in that regard, that it involves the city. So we're looking to do an analysis and figure out why these areas are flooding, come up with some recommendations, and then hopefully chase grants to do the improvements that are recommended. As I mentioned, it's an 18-month study, so it's a little bit of a long road, but there will be outreach with the community both in West Hartford and in Hartford. The project also involves the MDC for various reasons, and the consultant that was selected is CDM Smith, who should sound familiar. CDM Smith has done a lot of work for the town of West Hartford, and they're very familiar with the city of Hartford and the MDC. So it's a very good fit for us for this project, so we're excited about that. I'll answer any questions on any of those projects, but then with your concurrence again, I'd like to hand it over to Greg Summer just to give a brief update on the center. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions on the projects that Dwayne just
Just one question for three. Not that project, the one at I'm sorry, Boulevard and Quaker. I saw some work starting there. I know there was some issues with the pedestrian crossing there, and the signaling, but I saw some work being done there. I was wondering if that's happening or.
I'll ask Greg if you don't mind.
Okay.
Update on that. Thank
All
you.
right.
Sure. Good morning, Greg Summer, town engineer. Happy to address that question, Mr. Winograd. Yes, so that is our that accessible signal upgrade project. So there's 5 intersections we're currently working on, that being one of them. So that intersection will get all new pedestrian signal equipment, as well as the vibrotactile audible push buttons at that intersection. The others are Farmington at Quaker, Raymond at Isham, South Main at Ellsworth, right here at the Town Hall driveway, and Sharpbrook at Boulevard. So those are the 5 that they'll be working on over the next several weeks, upgrading that signal equipment. And that was through a grant with DOT, the Community Connectivity Program.
Fantastic. And the one at Boulevard and Quaker, that one will get the actual pedestrian crossing. That'll switch over to actually having a walk.
Yes, so it'll have the walk phase, and I believe it's also we're introducing the leading pedestrian interval, so the pedestrians will actually get the head start when the walk signal comes on. So it'll still be a kind of a concurrent operation, but the pedestrians get that little head start. We're going to pilot that. The DOT has been doing that for a while, and it's been done throughout the country.
Okay, great. Eager to see that. Thank you.
If there are no other questions through you, Madam Chair, I'll continue with the update on West Hartford Center. So Gerber Construction has been out working in a couple of locations on LaSalle Road, on the southern end in front of Max Burger, and then also on up near the north end in front of Starbucks and the music store. In the past several weeks, they've been working largely underground, either doing drainage or the engineered tree pits. Now they're starting to come up out of the ground. Curbing is going in. And they're getting ready to grade out the areas for the sidewalk, and we'll start seeing concrete poured probably shortly after Memorial Day. So exciting. That should get close to kind of buttoning up that first phase, and then probably sometime in mid-June they'll be looking to shift to the next areas. We are still working with some other contractors that need to do work in the center. So that's kind of complicated matters. MDC has some sanitary sewer repair work that they need to do. We just found out that Eversource has some manholes that they need to adjust as well. So we'll be carefully coordinating that with Gerber and making sure that we're communicating that to the businesses. We've been working with M&J Engineering and Kristen and Lauren as well, helping with outreach, making sure we get that message out to the businesses, staying in close communication with them, and trying to address their needs and making sure that they're thriving and dealing with any challenges they might be working through during the course of construction. So happy to answer any questions anybody might have.
Deputy Mayor Winograd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for that, and thank you for the work you're performing. I know we're getting a lot of, and certainly the mayor has been getting a lot of complaints from some of the merchants, especially on the west side of LaSalle, in terms of, somewhat unavoidable, but just lack of business. And I did go over there the other day and wondered. So I tried to cross over to the Starbucks, because you can't cross at the corner, and of course there's no walk there. That's the only sort of place to access that string of restaurants and stores. And I know that's temporary, but I'm wondering if there's any way we can make that a safer crossing. Again, there's no crosswalk there, but you're sort of mid-block, and if you wanted to get to there, I don't know, even if signage. I'm not sure whether that would be more of a problem to put something there. And just and Kristen can talk about this too. I just wondering other effort, anything we can do to sort of help out as we go through this process to help these businesses.
Yeah, we have signage out directing people to use the mid-block crossing, but of course, even before construction, it's pretty commonplace that people do, unfortunately, jaywalk on LaSalle Road.
We can certainly take a closer look. Generally, we won't want to add a crosswalk, that close proximity. But we'll see, maybe there's additional signage, something we can add to help direct people to be crossing appropriately. And I know they do have, the police have been out there through the private duty roles, at least while there's active construction, and they're helping with those pedestrian movements as well.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any other questions on that? Okay, thank you for the update. I've been out in the center several times. I know, I think it was last week. How is the project on schedule? I know we had quite a bit of rain for like a week. I mean, there was the one week where we had torrential rain for 3 days or so. So are they pretty much running on time? Or has the rain caused them to be a little behind schedule?
Currently, they are on schedule. They've
Okay.
had some additional crews working out there. They're actually working, again, trying to closely manage this, looking at things they might be able to do preemptively that would help them set up well for the next phase. And that in terms of like test pits, just so they find out depths of other utilities. They're looking at maybe doing some of the additional storm drainage work in localized areas, as long as it doesn't impact, have a significant impact on businesses. So we're looking at maybe doing those early in the morning, and then opening those parking spaces back up. If there's an area of maybe 3 or 4 spaces they might need to put in a catch basin, let's say. But then that would certainly help accelerate that next phase of the project. So they are looking at some of those options just to try and maintain the schedule and possibly even get ahead.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
And Madam Chair, just a couple other things to add to that, and Madam Deputy Mayor Winograd's question, but certainly we have been working very hard on communicating with our businesses, and our economic development team has done an outstanding job of doing daily outreach with the businesses. And both Kristen and Lauren and Greg late last week were working on some new kind of branding signs that we've added to the center. And we'll update those as we move through the next several weeks as well. So really evolving our initial communication plan to keep everyone aware of what's happening within the center, and letting everyone know the center is open for business and getting people down there. And we'll look at, we've already started to consider different kind of incentives that we could look at as well, to continue to let people know that we are open for business, and encouraging people to join us in the center. So through you, Madam Chair, I'll turn it over to Kristen Gorski, who can give a brief update as well. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Town Manager Ledwith. Kristen Gorski, Economic Development Coordinator. Happy to chat about that a little bit. So as the Town Manager had mentioned, we're working with staff, which includes Lauren, Renee McHugh, myself, as well as M&J Engineering, on some additional communications to let folks know that businesses are open. On Monday, or actually at the tail end of last week, we ended up ordering some signs for the center. Public Works was great to be able to print these signs that we designed in-house. We ordered kind of these standing, not A-frames, but a standing sign to be able to put them in. There's 8 of those in total. We ended up putting them out in various areas of the center on Monday. So on the graphic, it basically has a catchy phrase, and it has a QR code that links you. If you scan that, it will bring you directly to the project website. We are working with M&J Engineering to make sure that the website is up to date and accurate now that we have additional branding and signage out there. We also very strongly try to mention that the businesses are open. We encourage folks to be able to patronize businesses while there is construction. So those are now out there. We're really excited about that. In addition, today we should be through our social media channels as well as Renee's social media channels for the more broad town accounts. We came up with a graphic that says exactly that. Businesses are open during construction. Our plan is to pay to boost those posts and do sponsored posts across all of our social media channels. And so we'll run that for about 30 days and see what types of traction that we get. But with those boost posts, you're hitting more than just your subscribers, your followers, so you can cast a wider net. So we are very hopeful that that will notify folks that are not necessarily following us or consistently, checking in terms of what we're posting on our feeds. They will get that notification that indicates businesses are open. This is what the project is, and hopefully also catch some other folks that maybe are not familiar with West Hartford, and they can check out more about who we are and come down and support the businesses. So working on a variety of different things, always trying to evolve this and make sure that we're communicating as best as possible, both to the residents of town as well as any tourists who might come into town, that our businesses are indeed open for business.
Thanks, Kristen. So if there's nothing else on the center infrastructure plan, we can turn things through you, Madam Chair, to Kristen and Lauren, who can give an economic development update. Do want to take a moment to congratulate Lauren, who is this year's Chamber Partnership Spirit Award. So congratulations to Lauren for all of her hard work and supporting the businesses throughout town. So through you, Madam Chair, we'll turn it over to Kristen.
Great, thank you, Town Manager Ledwith. Again, Kristen Gorski, Economic Development Coordinator. I am just going to share my screen. Okay, can you see that?
We can.
Okay, excellent. So this is going to be myself and then Lauren to give a more broad update on economic development. So typically when we go through and do this presentation, it's pretty heavy on the business side, the business openings, the businesses that are going through the permitting process. In the interest of time, because we've seen a lot of you at a lot of ribbon cuttings and ceremonies lately, that is left out. We wanted to focus on some other things that we do on a daily basis, and just to give you a better understanding of where we sit right now. So I've been including this and just wanted to highlight a couple of things about our vacancy rates right now. So particularly, we've been trending down, which is a really, really great thing. So for industrial, multifamily, office, and retail, which are the prime industries that we look at, and regionally, statewide, folks look at to see how the local economy is doing, how the state economy is doing. In the second to the right box, highlighted in bold, this is current for all four of those industry areas. As you will see, those are all trending down for the most part, with the exception of industrial, which kind of just slightly bumps up and bumps down. But all of those are lower than the Hartford region, particularly what we're really excited about, because we've made great strides in this market over the last couple of years, is the office market. So we just hit 4.6% vacancy, which is phenomenal in comparison to the larger Hartford region, which is still in double digits. So we're doing extremely well, particularly because most of our office is really centralized in West Hartford Center, Blueback Square. Folks are coming for the amenity package that entire area has to offer. So we've done a really great job of attracting and recruiting new businesses to bring that vacancy rate down. So everything is going really well. I won't get into all of these, but just wanted to give a snapshot of the properties that have been sold since the beginning of the year. Particularly, this was a announcement a couple of weeks ago. Earlier this month, it was 830 Farmington Avenue. So that is the Connecticut Home Interiors building. That had been on the market for some time with a new broker, but had been on the market for closer to a decade with other brokers. That sold for $2.4 million to the real estate broker who had that listing. And so we are yet to understand what Michael would like to do with this property. He, announced that he bought it as an investment, so certainly will keep everybody posted as things pan out there. This is also interesting because for West Hartford, properties for sale are few and far between on the commercial and multifamily side. So currently we have about 5 properties that are on the market for sale, 3 of which are under contract. So properties, they don't come on the market very frequently, and typically they don't sit on the market very long. So this is a good amount of sales for a very short period of time. Quick snapshot of existing development. So this is everything that is under construction, recently completed, those projects that are in the pipeline to begin. The L at North Main Street, they are moving really, really quickly. Slides are not advancing, I'm being told.
They're not, yeah. If you're good, there you go. Thank you.
You can see that. Oh,
yeah.
You can see that now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry about that. We'll just stay in PowerPoint. So the L at North Main Street is moving along really quickly. So that is the adaptive reuse of the former Agudas Hakim synagogue. One thing that I did want to mention about that is a project where we have a brownfield remediation grant. We are working with the Housing Authority as they're moving along with construction on their project to be able to put in requisitions to the Department of Economic and Community Development to get reimbursement for different stages that they are hitting with the remediation. So we are in the process of putting in our 3rd requisition. They are getting close to closing out that process with DECD and the brownfield funds. We are required to hold back, or DECD rather, will hold back 5% of the funds until the project is completely finished and completed. So our plan is really within the next month and some change to do all of our reimbursement requests, with the exception of that final 5%, which we will then request once the project is complete towards the end of this year, early next year. But that's really great news, where all of the contamination is cleaned up for the most part, and they can just continue to move on the remaining construction of the site. Also, I will mention the Camelot. We had a phenomenal attendance and grand opening ceremony last Monday, which many of you had attended. So thank you for that. That was just a phenomenal event to be able to celebrate that wonderful affordable housing development to open in West Hartford Center. Also worth noting, residents started to move in last Thursday. So as they mentioned, they are 100% pre-leased, with many of those moving into the leasing phase. So I believe as of the tail end of last week, they welcomed about 15 new residents. And so they will continue over the course of the next 2 weeks. They will continue to move residents in all the way up to that 44 units. And then 2 other ones that I just wanted to mention is the Jaden and the Elmwood Loft. So as this is noted, these are both projects that are working on their financing. So the Jaden is at 579 New Park Avenue, and then the Elmwood Lofts at 1051, 1061 New Britain Avenue. We are working with them very, very closely, hand in hand on the financing. Both of those projects are hopeful to go through a couple of state programs. One in particular is the Build for CT program. I would like to recognize Representative Farrar, who's been really helpful to navigate some of the questions that we have received from the Connecticut Housing Finance Authority regarding applicability of that program. So we are hopeful that those processes and those applications will start to move through with that funding program, as well as back in October of last year, the state delegation was helpful in getting us a $2 million grant from the state of Connecticut through the Department of Housing, ultimately through the Bond Commission, to be able to support both of these projects. And so where we are with that is we are working towards a closing. We executed a a final term sheet, and we are working towards a closing hopefully within the next month. So those projects are moving ahead. New development activity, I won't mention this as this has been 160 Simsbury Road has been set for public hearing on June 24th. Next, just wanted to highlight a event that our division helped to support. So this was a really, really great event that we had last Wednesday at West Hartford Town Hall in working with the West Hartford Public Schools. So this was both high schools, Hall and Conard. This was the first Skills USA National Signing Day. And what that is it's a nationally recognized event. This was the first year that the West Hartford Public Schools had put this on. It is students that are in the Careers Pathway program at both high schools who are committed to going directly into the workforce, particularly within the trades. So there were business participants that we helped to be able to get at the event. That was 10 different businesses as well as partner organizations. As you can see on the left, West Hartford Solar was there. On the right, AC Automotive. The careers that these students are choosing to go into range from hospitality to construction to automotive to advanced manufacturing and more. So what was great about this is, as you can see on the right-hand side, the plaques that were given to these students to recognize that they were moving directly into the workforce, into the skilled trades. Those were plaques that were made within the Careers Pathway classes, particularly the back was made in the woodworking classes, and then the front was 3D printed through one of the printing classes. So 30 students in all were recognized as part of this event. They were able to interact with businesses that represented the various trades, and they were able to understand a little bit more about what their career could look like, what they're really committing to when they move into jobs within these industry sectors. Overall, a phenomenal event. Lauren did a lot of work in terms of the coordination and organization of this event, and we are always happy to partner with our friends at the West Hartford Public Schools. And then I'll just run through this pretty quickly, just a quick snapshot of marketing and communications. Hopefully everybody is receiving our monthly economic development newsletters. We send that out the third Thursday of every single month. We're close to 4,000 subscribers there. So anytime that a new business opens, if there is a change of point of contact for a business, we are updating that list. We also have as you see down below at the bottom of the screen, we have a button for anybody that we communicate via email with to be able to sign up for our newsletters. So we're constantly trying to grow that subscriber list. We are getting really, really great open rates, 50 to 54% open rates for our newsletters that go out. That is monthly. The industry standard is 23%, so more than double the industry standard. Constantly making sure that we are sending out really important information to the businesses, things that they should be aware of, whether it's stuff on the town side, financial assistance at the state or federal level, so on and so forth. And then we also are helping M&J send out the biweekly Center Infrastructure Construction newsletter that we discussed a little bit earlier. That's one of the methods of communication for the businesses in the center to make sure that they're up to date in terms of what's going on with that project. Also over to the right, Lauren consistently is putting together new resource guides that we are sending out to new businesses, existing businesses, anybody that we are communicating with that needs some sort of help that identifies a wide variety of things. And then lastly, before I turn over to Lauren, continuing to grow our outreach. And this is a snapshot of our social media. We are on Instagram, not Facebook. So we are looking to post a couple of posts a week. That is the track that we have been on. We are hitting a lot of people, a lot of views with these posts. So they are things from announcements of a business opening to a business spotlight that talks about an existing business, makes people familiar with them. We've also been putting a lot of information about the infrastructure project out there just to get a wider reach. In the last 30 days, we reached almost 11,000 people with our posts. So again, continuing to grow that to make sure that we have visibility with our followers as well as other folks on social media. I will also mention, while we don't have a branded LinkedIn, post a lot on our personal LinkedIns to get additional traction. And so this is, definitely from a branding perspective, marketing perspective, making sure that we're communicating who we are, who our businesses are, so on and so forth. And now I will turn it over to Lauren, who is going to give an overview of our business retention and expansion program. Lauren?
Thank you, Kristen. Lauren Siegel, Economic Development Specialist. I first want to just explain what business retention and expansion means. Since the beginning of this year, I've been in touch with about 100, maybe a little over 100 businesses, either via in-person visits, over the phone, or sometimes it's just email communication. And what the BR&E program is, according to the International Economic Development Council, they're designed to really retain and keep existing businesses in the community. And we also were able to offer them assistance to expand their business. So a formal BRE program, it identifies the hurdles and the challenges that are facing local businesses, and it provides assistance to address any issues that they might have. On the left-hand side of the screen, I just kind of want to bring this up because there was a business who was having some issues, and we had met with her and told her about the Ignite program. And this was a grant opportunity through the Women's Business Development Council. And she actually was awarded I think she received about $8,500 or $8,900, and she was able to rebrand her business from Zaynab's to Z-Bowls, and that's on Park Road. So Zaynab was thrilled to learn about that, and wouldn't have known about it had we not sent out the email communications or had that visit with her. So, so retention and expansion of local businesses can help increase the local jobs, preserve and increase the local tax base and property tax values or property values. It can enhance the community image, increase confidence, and maintain or diversify the economic base. Thank you, Kristen. Kristen's handling the slideshow for me. Business retention and expansion programs. And these are just examples of what we do. It's not everything that we do. It's just some examples because we knew we had a short period of time to go over it with you. Some of the ways we connect with the existing businesses, it might be a scheduled drop-in or business visit, referrals from business associations like the Connecticut Small Business Development Center, the Chamber of Commerce. Some businesses reach out to us looking for assistance with expansion, relocation, to purchase real estate, and assistance with the permitting process, as well as access to capital to support the needs. Collaboration with other departments. Sometimes I actually just recently reached out to the tax collector's office and worked in conjunction with them to reach out to business owners who are in arrears in their accounts, just to learn about their business climate, to see if there's anything that we could do to help, if there's some business advising services or financial assistance that we could provide. And we were able to collect money for that. Some not so much, but some we did. So we're happy that we took that avenue. That was kind of a unique approach. And at times, and Kristen had come up with this idea to take a look at the newsletter and take a look to see who clicked through to what article piqued their interest. It could have been something on succession planning or whatever it was. And we saw the click-throughs, and I was able to contact those people directly and find out what it is that we could do to help them. Just having that data was really important to kind of see what programs they're interested in and what their needs are. And other times we might utilize industry-specific resources we provided to business owners. So I would target like businesses. So if there was a a medical office or a hair salon looking for stylists, I can find some resources that would be common to the same industry. So I might say, okay, it's a women-owned business. I've got these programs for women-owned businesses. So now I'm just going to target the women-owned businesses and share the program information with them to try to help narrow down my prospecting for who might need help. Then how do we connect with that was the existing business, but how do we connect with the new and prospective businesses? The commercial building permits have been a really great resource for me. I will look to see who's submitted a permit. Again, these are new businesses who are needing some help through the business process. So we can jump in and help them, tell them what they need to do for registration and what documentation they're going to need. Other times I might go on the trade name certificate website through the town clerk's office and find out who registered for a new trade name certificate. And these are the mostly new businesses, but sometimes they're existing businesses who are rebranding and changing things up. So I can contact them directly and find out what I can do to help them. Through the state's website. So the state has a website on how to start a business page, and they actually link back to the economic development office, and Kristen is the point of contact. So any lead that she gets, she'll send to me, and I'll work on getting in touch with them. So we didn't even know that had existed, but we started getting all these referrals. So they revamped their website in the last year and have included local contacts. So that's another way we can help them. Referrals from other departments. Sometimes departments are sharing information. P&Z commonly will say, hey, maybe you can help out this business, which is fantastic. And other times it could be one of our business resource partners like the SBDC. Of course, there's walk-ins to the counter at the building and planning and zoning divisions. So we'll help them directly face-to-face. Through the economic development website, we have a business question form that they can fill out. We also have our staff contact information they can click on and reach directly out to us. And any kind of news about West Hartford. So whether it's through WeHa Business Buzz or Hartford Business Journal, anything that we read, we can then target those people and reach out to them directly. Of course, like Kristen mentioned, our social media, we can highlight a business and find out who's doing what just by monitoring what's going on social media. And then there's the in-person local and regional events that we attend, and we can connect with the local business owners that way. So these are some of the common themes, not all of them, but just to kind of keep this presentation short. Some of the common themes that we, because there's things that we can't talk about explicitly because these are confidential conversations, but the general themes are needing the access to capital or funding support, permitting assistance, like I said, for the new businesses and those that need to relocate or expand. Workforce development, a lot of people have hiring issues and they don't know about the free resources that are available locally here with the Seniors Job Bank and through the state. So we'll share that information. And the last one is marketing communication relations. So a lot of people don't have the marketing support or the time to do social media, and so we can share information with them. So here are the ways in which we help address those common themes. Some of the examples of how we've helped, the first bullet point being access to capital. I had mentioned referring to female business owners, the Ignite grant. There's funding opportunities through the Connecticut Manufacturers CCAP program. So that's the Connecticut Center for Advanced Technology. We encourage taking advantage of energy efficiency programs through Connecticut Green Bank. Developed one-pagers on small business resource partners that Kristen had shown you earlier through resources for the local financial institutions and the direct contacts. Permitting assistance, again, these are just examples of what we've done, not everything that we do, but providing a list of architects has been kind of a big deal for people who are just starting a build out and they have no idea who to start with. So we, instead of recommending one business, which we can't do, we have to give them a list of businesses and say, look, these are the people who have done business in the town, who know all the codes and have worked with the inspectors, and try to help them just kind of narrow down who they want to work with, whether it's for outdoor dining or doing a build out. We also act as the liaison between the town permitting offices to try to help assist in gathering all the information that they need, as I had mentioned earlier. So we're trying to ensure that there's a smooth process. Other examples of how we help with the last two themes, we came across workforce development. One of the things that I had done recently was I had met with some dentists and doctors to connect them with the CT state colleges and universities. There's a platform called Handshake, which allows alumni and students to access a job board. And employers don't even realize this is available. So instead of going to each school individually to get MAs, medical assistants from, Trinity, they can just post on this job board called Handshake for free, and they can reach all of the schools. Alumni and students can gain access to that. So sharing that information and then targeting other dentists and doctors' offices to let them know that's out there. Seniors Job Bank is another one that I constantly refer to as well. They've been awesome to work with, and a lot of people don't realize there's mature staff that they can get who are going to show up. They're probably not going to be on their phones. They're here and they're looking for part-time work, and it's just very easy to post on that for free as well. Another workforce development way in which we've helped is we've recommended to post jobs for free on CT Hires, which is a state resource. And we've informed them about any local job fairs or connected them with Capital Workforce Partners, one of our business resource partners, to help them with traditional and non-traditional workforce related issues that they have. Marketing, communications, relations, connecting new and existing business owners with media contacts. That's what I had mentioned earlier, the social media post featuring new and existing businesses owners to enhance visibility and share their stories. Connecting those who market toward the 60 plus, that's the Seniors Job Bank. I'm sorry, that was the Senior Center to learn more about event sponsorship. So I've connected people to Rebecca Sears and had them talk about seminars or any kind of in-person events that they can do to help seniors and connect right here in their local community. And then we've provided contact information to organizers for town events, of course, like Celebrate, We Ha Health. We recommended a couple of people when they signed up and they were attending there. So they're able to do these local community events that they didn't know about when we reach out to them and they say, I'd really like to get more involved in the community. These are some of the things that we share with them to get them involved.
Great.
And
Thank you, Lauren.
That's it. Any questions?
Are there any questions from anyone?
No questions for me.
Okay. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Lauren. You guys do great work. And, I'll let Rick mention, as we all know, the news that we got, the great news we got yesterday, and you guys are certainly a part of, why that happened. So I will
Yes,
turn it
indeed.
back over to Rick.
That was very, very exciting news that we received yesterday. West Hartford was ranked number 19th in the country for cities and towns, best places to live in the United States. So number 1 in the state, number 19 in the country. And I think all of us, community planning and economic development, this committee, the staff that supports this committee certainly played a role. And some of the factors that are built into the algorithm that U.S. News World Report uses to identify best places to live. So kudos to the committee members and our staff who support the great work that we do. So just was blown away by that news yesterday. So, and I know I share in that emotion with all of us. So thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Lauren and team. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Are there any future agenda items? No future agenda items? Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
So, second.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
And
Thanks, everyone.
thank
Thanks a
you.
lot.
Have a good day.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.